Hello everyone, thanks for joining the Postal Pleasures channel. So there's been a lot of interest in the Bundleware videos that I've done to this point. The first one just being discussing what Bundleware is, and then the second one where we unbox or unpack, I guess, one stack of Bundleware. Both were quite interesting to me as well. I haven't really ever focused on buying Bundleware or making Bundleware, I guess, until on the making side until just yesterday, where I attempted to make my first two bundles. And believe it or not, it was incredibly easy. My biggest concern was finding a glue or adhesive that wasn't going to soak through the strapping and affect the stamp and have any damage like that. And I was, when I was thinking about which glues I might use, I kind of came to the idea of maybe trying to use rubber cement. And turns out it's not easy to order because of shipping restrictions as a hazmat material. And with COVID, I haven't really gone to the store looking for it. But I was in the grocery store recently, and they had this Elmer's glue stick. Actually, a package of 3 of them marked off at 50%, and then some Elmer's white glue, both school glues. Again, also 50%, so I picked those up. And, the last stick of this stuff I had was when I was a school kid, and it was white and not purple. And honestly, I still own the old other stick that I have, and it doesn't stick anymore. But this stuff seems to stick great, believe it or not. So I would have never thought of it if it wasn't, on sale in a discount bin. So in any case, here's the example. So there's a stack of 50. I've marked it 50 on the back. Nice and tight, wrapped easily. Here's a stack of 100. I marked it 100 on the back. Pretty happy with them. My alternatives, I keep things in stock cards, but I can only fit about 20 stamps in a stock card before it's, bursting and potentially even ripping its own adhesive. So, what did I need to do this in addition to the glue? Some scissors to cut some strips of paper. Now on these, I used a thickness that I see often used. In fact, here's the bundle, the wrapper from the one I unwrapped a few weeks ago. So mine were a hair thicker than that, but not much. But I was thinking, really to protect the stamp, there's no reason why I don't have a slightly wider one. I think the only negative to having a wider one is you obstruct what stamp you have wrapped there. But I guess with a wider one, you could write down the catalog number and any other details you needed. So it's a self-canceling issue. So I didn't consider doing, I pulled out anything that was, doubles or triples, because obviously they're not going to work with an individual stack. But I see no reason why I couldn't do a double stack. Maybe a triple stack I'd want to. If I did a double stack, I'd want to use a pretty wide band so that I protect the weak point. Triple stack, I'd probably want to do a band that's so wide it covers both weak points. I've not attempted to do that yet. Maybe we'll try that in a future video. I actually have a few stamps where I probably have enough doubles where I could make use of that. I avoided stamps with attached margin, and I avoided stamps with portions of another stamp or margin attached because obviously we might potentially, especially on this one, if I'm banding crossways, would crush those. So without further ado, these are each stacks of 50. And what I did is I took a measurement here and figured the length for both sides plus an extra length for gluing. So 3 times that measurement. And then, again, I measured actually just 50 of them on the other side, and then took 4 times that because I'm going to double it and then have 2 sides. Added those together and added a little bit more. So I came to about 10 centimeters on this one and about 8 centimeters on this one. Because I didn't want to have to make this video twice, I probably made it a little too long, which I can trim afterwards. So, without further ado, let's stack these up and give them a shot. So, if you're worried about potential damage on the outside ones, you might, as you're sorting through, save a couple of your worst copies for the outsides. I'm not too worried about that. You are going to end up touching these. If you were really worried about it, you'd wear gloves. I'm not really worried about these. They're incredibly common stamps. I have a giant envelope of these and more in a box. Let's see. So I'm going to align them in my fingers, my greasy, grubby fingers. I'm sure there's somebody that will turn off this video at this point because I've just disgusted them. And again, I'm not a professional with this yet. Let's see, I'm going to go with the wider one first. Turn that around because if I do have any extra glue on the flap, I want it to go down onto the wider one, because I just, cut them with scissors and it wasn't a perfect cut. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of pinching, sorry if I'm coming out of frame here, it's hard for me to film and do this at the same time. So I'm kind of pinching that there, but then pulling the bottom strap tight around the edge to really bind it in there. And then I'm going to fold it up, and yeah, I actually have, a centimeter and a half extra. But that's okay, we'll trim that later. So now, and I should have opened this before this point, as I'm low on hands, I'll pull out this fancy purple glue stick and put some there, and put some there. I don't know if both sides is important, but it worked well for me the first time, and actually I held that out of sight, so I put some here and there. I apologize if that was out of frame when I first started. And then I'm going to pull tight. Hold it for a second, and I think that's good. It actually, on the other ones, really just stuck instantly. I didn't have a surplus of paper last time, but this time I'll just trim that tag. And you know what, on camera, this one's a little looser than my others. Again, chalk that up to pressure of doing it about as far away from my body as my arms reach, because of where I'm filming, and being live, of course. Well, at least live to the camera. So, the other thing I'll mention that I took out of these, that I pulled out of this lot, and I'll pull one over here, was I cherry-picked a few of these stamps that had a wonderful cancel. Really, I mean, that's a perfectly upright, almost complete spot on the nose cancel. So I figured that should be something that I will card up. So maybe I'll have a card of these in my collection. In fact, I do have a card of these in my collection, but probably several cards. Maybe the nicer ones will still go with the regular stamps in my collection. And in fact, even the top one here is a decent cancel. Unfortunately, I don't know a ton about what makes a desirable cancel, other than, the quality of the cancel itself. But I don't know, which cities or post offices might be more interesting in Denmark, which is where these stamps are from, I should say. And again, I'm trying to stay in frame here. Apologize if I'm not. Try to scooch a little closer. And again, making sure I don't get it on the stamp itself. A little bit of glue. Pulling that tight. Wrapping over. Straighten it out a little. Yeah, and there's definitely no glue on the next side. If had there been more glue, it would have been fine to keep wrapping it over. In fact, maybe that would make it even more secure. But again, I knew I was making these a little too long just for video's sake. There. Yeah, I know those scissors are giant for this, but they're actually sharp and work well. So there we go. Second bundle. So I'll mark these with what they are. Plenty tight, easy to store. Certainly, I guess if a maximum of 20 of these, probably does 20 stamps in here. Five of these cards probably takes more storage space, although maybe a little neater to store. But I was going to say more finicky because you've got to put all these in the card. But honestly, the hardest part about this process, and you did not see it, was counting out exactly 100 stamps. I did 10 piles of 10, then stacked them into 50s. And that was really, really tedious. And in fact, on this issue, they must be on a sheet with unperforated margin, because I guess being as picky as I am, only went for 4 perforated side stamps. So that left me with a whole bunch of bottom margin, upper margin, and then also corner margins that I wanted to all keep separate. I don't know why I spent that much effort on a stamp that's probably worth less than a cent, but that's just how my mind works. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this. One last note, what's really funny about this is that I made my test bundles last night, and then today I got a request online asking for me to make this video, which obviously I was already planning to make. So it's just funny how the world works. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video or others, please consider subscribing. You'll get alerts, I guess, whenever I post a new video, for better or worse on that. And again, thanks for watching.